Rather, lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, this summer, Arsenal are not looking to sign first 11 players, but rather players that are going to add a little bit of squad depth to Mikel Arteta's side. According to The Athletic, Mikel Arteta worked with 14 players last season, players he could trust, and that is actually very small. So what Arsenal are trying to do this summer is to add around 4 or 5 signings to Mikel Arteta's squad, so that if he wants to change his starting 11 in the FA Cup, he can do that. If he wants to change his starting 11 in one Champions League game, he can actually do that. Now, we do have the numbers in terms of players being present, but what Mikel Arteta doesn't feel like is that these players are quality enough at the moment. The likes of Edin Ketia, Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira, Emil Smith-Rowe, all those players have been available for selection for Mikel, and he has never chosen them as consistent as you've seen Leandro Trossard. The reason is the manager thinks these players are not as reliable as he wants them to be, and he also thinks that they're not good squad depth. So that means that if he takes off Saka, he doesn't trust to bring on Reece Nelson. If he takes off Odegaard, he doesn't trust to bring on ESR or Fabio Vieira. So in this video, we're going to be diving into my dream signings, especially working with the Arsenal budget, but also working with the plan and the profiles that Arsenal are looking for. We are looking for second team players. We're not looking for first team players. So we're not going to talk about those Bruno Gyökeres, those Alexander Isaks of this world. I don't think those are players for the bench. Those are players to start, and that is what Mikel is not looking for at the moment. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. So in terms of a Saka backup, who is your option in terms of us getting in a new midfielder to work with Partey and Jorginho? Who is your option? An option that is not very expensive, an option that can come in, provide almost the same quality but at a cheaper fee. Now I've started off with the striker's position because we are told that Arsenal last season were very, very convinced that there was something lacking in that team, and it was a killer instinct, and it was that X factor up top. That's why I've gone with Victor Gyokerez. Now with this one, I had a couple of thoughts. I thought about Joshua Zirkzee. I thought about Benjamin Sesko as well, who has been linked with Arsenal. But why I've gone with Victor Gyokerez in terms of the profile, what did we miss last season? We missed a striker that can bang in the goals ruthlessly. We missed a striker that can position himself to be found by Odegaard, to be found by the wingers, and to be found by the wing backs. That is Victor Gyokerez. I bet that if Arsenal had Victor Gyokerez last season against Bayern and against West Ham and Aston Villa, I don't think we'll lose those games. For example, Bayern at the Allianz Arena, Arsenal had so many decent half chances. I don't think we had so many big chances, but we had so many decent half chances. And when you have a player like Victor Gyokerez up top, he's definitely going to bury those chances. That is why I've gone with someone who's a little bit older, 25. That is a player in his prime, and his numbers are not astonishing for a striker at 25. Now, I'm not saying when you're 25, 26, or 27, you must be banging in the goals, but I'm saying he's a player in his prime, and Arsenal should be able to cough up the cash for this guy. Going for Benjamin Sesko is not bad. I think Benjamin Sesko is a very good prospect, but that doesn't answer the question, what did we miss? And are we getting that, that X factor in the market? In Benjamin Sesko, I'm not 100% sure we are talking about a killer. We are not talking about, I don't think we're talking about a fox in the box. We're talking about other qualities. With Victor Gyokerez, you're talking about a fox in the box, a killer. You're talking about your main talisman. That's why I've gone with Victor Gyokerez. He could cost around 85 million, and my budget that you have seen on the thumbnail is 285 million. The reason as to why I've gone with 285 million is Arsenal have the potential to raise about 185 million from player sales. So for me, Victor Gyokerez would be number one on my list. I would expect him not to play a lot of games, for example, in the first season or second season, but he's different from Kai Havertz, and you need a player different from Kai Havertz. He can score a header, he can score, if you bring him in the 70th minute, 20 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go, he can go and get that one opportunity and he buries it. The thing we've seen with players like Gabriel Jesus, when you get that one golden chance, we got it against Bayern and Saka fluffed it. When you get that one golden chance, You want it to fall to your most trusted player. You want that chance to fall to a player that you 100% trust. Now, who do we trust 100% in Arsenal to bury a chance? That would be Leandro Trossard. So if you bring in a player like Victor Gyokerez, you have two players, Trossard and Gyökeres, that you know if that chance comes, it falls to Gyökeres, it falls to Leandro Trossard, he's going to bury it, and you're either going to get an equalizer or a winning goal on that big stage. So for me, Victor Gyokerez is my first dream signing with this new Arsenal plan of just signing second level or bench players. Second on my list is Michael Olise, age 22, market value 60 million euros, release clause 65 million euros. Crystal Palace will be willing to listen to offers, but they want to keep this summer. So, Michael Olise is a difficult one, very, very difficult one, and I'm going to explain how difficult it is. Michael Olise's release clause is one of the most ridiculous things God has not created, but has created through man. I hope you understand. Crystal Palace have put a release clause that can only be triggered by Michael Olise in Michael Olise's contract. For Michael Olise to trigger that release clause, he's got to speak to a club. That club has to first get permission from Crystal Palace to speak to Michael Olise. Otherwise, if he goes to trigger the release clause of Michael Olise, his release clause with Crystal Palace, that means that you've talked to him without permission. So for us to trigger the release clause of Michael Olise, we have to go to Crystal Palace, ask them for permission to speak to Michael Olise. After doing that, then we have to convince Michael Olise to go and trigger his release clause with Crystal Palace. It's a very, very, complicated mess. But regardless of that, I think he's a talent that most clubs are going to want to get their hands on, and I think eventually someone is going to get him. Chelsea, they are going to waste his time, but I see him at Chelsea. I see him at Manchester United. I think United will be willing to part with 60 million euros. I think Chelsea will be willing to part with 60 million euros as well. But what I've seen with Michael Olise is if you're looking for a winger that is going to give you 100% what Saka provides, or even better, that is Michael Olise. Quick, electric, creative, scores goals. Now, in terms of scoring goals, that is where Saka might be a little bit ahead. And maybe that's one of the things that I'm not really 100% sure. Does it really give us the output in terms of goals like Saka? But I would take him in a heartbeat. I would take him without thinking twice. Like Michael Olise is me waking up in the morning and taking a shower, unlike today because my water is off. But if water was on, when I wake up in the morning, it is a behavior default that I will take a cold shower. So Michael Olise is that behavior default for any club that is looking for any kind of quality up top. The upside with him is if you signed him for 65 million euros and he played 2 seasons and he has not broken through the starting 11, you can move him on for 70 million euros or 75 million euros as long as he gets that kind of game time, develops well at the club. It's just 22. Like by the time he's 24, 25, you expect him to be a massive player with this Arsenal team. So for me, he's an opportunity that any team at the moment has got to take. He's a massive opportunity on the market right now. I don't think there's so many managers that you can ask, would you take Michael Olise? And they would think twice. He's an absolute gem of a player. Next on my list is Youssouf Fofana. So with Youssouf Fofana comes with your favorite line. Yes, let's keep Thomas Partey. Now, I don't know. Yesterday I did a video about the confirmed outgoings at Arsenal, which actually did very well. Thank you so much for engaging with that video. 500 likes. That was nice. And of course, we got to 10,000 views as well. What I didn't understand is people saying that I don't like Thomas Partey. I clearly put Partey in that video because his future is uncertain. And I say that his future was uncertain. I didn't say Partey is gone, and I didn't say Partey should go, right? So in this one, I want to say that Partey should stay because of this guy, Youssouf Fofana. So with Youssouf Fofana, what Arsenal will get is a 25-year-old midfielder in his prime, powerful DM, midfield dynamite that is most importantly cheap. 25 million euros is a joke for this guy. Monaco, of course, have an agreement between them and the player to actually move on. We're going to do a full video about Youssouf Fofana. And Arsenal are not the only club interested. Man United, PSG, and Chelsea, we are hearing that are very much interested in Youssouf Fofana. Now, I've talked about Michael Olise being a behavior default. This deal for Youssouf Fofana is a deal your club should do. Whether it's Arsenal or not Arsenal, it's a club that your club should do. With Arsenal, we have one thing that is missing in terms of that DM role. I've seen Declan Rice play there for England against Iceland. I don't think he really did a very good job. I thought Kobe Mainu was good, by the way. I thought Declan Rice was also good. But I don't think Rice is so comfortable now as a holding midfielder, just as a holding midfielder. I think he wants more. I think he wants to do more. And he doesn't find it entertaining anymore to play in that DM role. So when you look at Thomas Partey, you have speed, you have the legs, but he's getting older, and therefore his injuries are not going to go away. They're not going to get any better. When you think about Jorginho, he's reliable, not injury prone, but of course, because of his age, he's going to pick up 1 or 2 injuries here and there in important parts of the season. But secondly, Jorginho doesn't have the pace, the legs, and the speed, right? So he cannot keep up for 90 minutes. This is where Youssouf Fofana becomes the perfect signing for Arsenal this summer. Because Youssouf Fofana is not going to ask for a lot of game time at the moment because he knows his time is going to come. Jorginho is going to leave and Partey is eventually going to leave and he's going to become the main man at maybe 26 or 27. So at 25 right now, what he wants to do is to come in and learn that Mikel Arteta system. Learn how you win the ball back, learn how to you start attacks, learn how to be the central man, the pivot, the metronome in midfield. I don't think Youssouf Fofana actually is a player that Arsenal... I'm not 100% sure we actually want to sign him because, like, it's just abrupt, right? But if Arsenal really want to sign him, if Arsenal are really interested, this is a smart move. Because when you think about a player for the bench, why would you put 100 million euros in João Neves or 100 million pounds in Bruno Guimaraes? They're just for the bench. So at the moment, Youssouf Fofana ticks the boxes of where do you go to? Who do you turn to when Partey is injured and Jorginho is tired? Youssouf Fofana, midfield dynamite, midfield powerhouse as well. Next one on my list, and this one might shock you or not shock you, is Milos Kerkez, age 20, playing at Bournemouth. He is a left back. We have been told that Mikel Arteta is not impressed with any of the left back options. That is Zinchenko, not impressing. Tomiyasu, I'm sorry, you're very injury prone. Jakub Kiwior, Champions League. Should we talk about that day? Now, Mikel is not 100% sure he's got a left back that he likes. That is a little bit ironic, but that is the truth. That's what the manager says. So I've suggested Milos Kerkez, 25 or 25 or 30 million euros. I think that's what he would cost from Bournemouth. Bournemouth have just signed him, I think, 1 season ago. 1 season or one and a half seasons ago. And he has been absolutely electric. The thing with Milos Kerkez is he's a profile that Arsenal kind of have, but we do not have. Let me explain. When it comes to his attacking game, he has got attributes of a Julian Timber and attributes of an Alexander Zinchenko. But then he's also got attributes of Kieran Tierney. So he can go, he usually goes to as far as the left-hand corner and crosses in balls. So if you have a player like Sesko coming in, or a player like Gyökeres and Kai in the penalty area, you might need some quality service. You might need some quality delivery. So players like Milos Kerkez would be absolutely fantastic. Defensively, this is one of the things I like about him. Defensively, he's a hard-working player. He's a hard-working machine that even if Arsenal were caught out of position, and he was caught out of position, he's got the speed, he's got the pace to cover, to run back, and defensively, he's not as weak and fragile as Alexander Zinchenko. So if Mikel Arteta, like we have had, he's looking for a a left back specialist. We know that he's not going to sign Jura Hato because Hato has decided to stay at Ajax. Sorry, Mikel. We all knew he was going to stay at Ajax. So because Hato wants to stay at Ajax, and because Alexander Zinchenko is not that good defensively, Fadika Dioglu, I think he's too expensive compared to what Arsenal value him for. So Milos Kerkez, or Kerkez actually, would be an absolute gem of a signing for Arsenal. And finally, to replace Aaron Ramsdale, for me, is James Trafford at Burnley. This one is going to absolutely cause problems for me. Burnley signed him for 18 million euros. 18? Yeah, 18 million euros from Man City. And his market value then was around 17 million euros. His market value right now is around 18 million euros. And I think you can get him for 20 million euros. He's not had the best season at Burnley. And he's been, he's been replaced by Adam Moric. The question I would ask here is the player willing to go from the Championship, from Burnley, to raise his level to a club like Arsenal? If yes, then go and get James Trafford. He's young. He's just 21. You could get him for 20 million euros. That means that if we sell Ramsdale for 25 million euros, we can even make... Okay, it's not a profit because we got Ramsdale for around 30 million euros, around there. But the whole point is that Arsenal can get a 21-year-old young goalkeeper who can be there for the next 3 years, 4 years, without all this kind of commotion. And then later on, you can either upgrade him to number one if you think that he's actually done well and he's learned the principles, or you can move him on for some very good money. So for me, in terms of Arsenal just going for backups instead of signing upgrades to the midfield and upgrades to the attack and upgrades to the defense, that is what I would do, right? Those would be my dream signings. I'll speak to you right in the next one.